PPL D2, Season 2, Week 11. The final week of the season. Before we do anything, let's take a look at the league table. We are still 8th. However, we are facing Ry and he can catch up to us this week. We can technically afford to lose up to 2-0, but this isn't about a table position. This is about beating Ry. I still owe him for my loss last season. You may also see that, if Tup loses and I win, we can actually take 7th place. And seeing as though Tup is facing the undefeated champion Mono, that might just happen. Next, as always, is the GPA. Or at least the official GPA. The one given to us by the authorities. In which Herdier Bremen is nowhere to be seen. But let's look at my GPA screenshot instead. Looks much better, doesn't it? Now suddenly we are very close to top 10. And we are one of 4 teams who have 3 things in the top 23. Let's fucking do this. As mentioned, our final official opponent this season is RhyQuinn, manager of the Nidoqueens Park Rangers. This pathetic little team consists of Sylveon, the most overrated fairy in the game; Hippowdon, the setup fodder for Gator; Shaman, the thing that dies to Darm; Slowking, the only thing with the positive differential; Fortress, the best shot at killing Darm; Mega Garc-homp, the thing that dies if you leave the fridge door open for too long; Stoutland, the thing that can't do anything on its own without sand; Ampharos, the offensive electric type that doesn't outspeed anything; Weezing, the thing that has so little offensive presence that it actually creates an offense vacuum; and lastly, Furor, the thing in the D1 logo. The closest Ry will ever get to seeing it again. So first of all, you might notice that Ry kind of struggles with fire types. This makes Smojo a very obvious first team member. The only relevant moves on this are Flare Blitz and U-turn. There are only 2 things Ry can bring that don't go down after 2 Flare Blitzes, those being Slowking and Mega Garc-homp. We are running just enough speed to outspeed everything on Ry's team. His only viable Scarfers would outspeed Darm no matter what, so I really didn't need much speed on this. The specific speed we're hitting with this is actually enough for max speed Sylveon. It's entirely possible that Ry might bring a Scarf Sylveon. So with that being our win condition and constantly taking recoil, I needed some way to patch up a low health Darm. And that's where Mr. Meme comes in. We've got an Air Balloon, as I'm expecting Ry to bring lots of ground moves to deal with Darm. The Darm support is obviously Healing Wish. Our main form of attack is Icy Wind. This hits everything decently hard and provides us with a bit of speed control. Aside from that, we have Skill Swap Uproar, which will be really cool if we can use it against Sylveon. The third member of our final team is Liepard. I'm very glad to be bringing this one final time. This battle, it's there for basically just one reason. If you look at Ry's offensive presence, you might notice that it only threatens me in Trick Room. And with his only Trick Room setter being Slowking, this will be my switch in. The plan is to encore Slowking into Trick Room. However, this can also take a Scald. Just one, of course, because it's a Liepard, but it can take a Scald. That's also why we have a Rost Fairy. If Scald burns us, we'll look like absolute pros. There's also Knock Off and U-turn, because this is a Liepard. We are also packing the T-Wave, just in case Stoutland gets sand support and gets out of hand. Next up is AJ Styles, once again wearing a nice belt. The speed is there to outspeed a Furor. That is assuming he will need it to outspeed Liepard. If he runs max speed for some ungodly reason, it will outspeed us. Nice and risky. Moves hit lots of things really hard. Basically, this thing exists to fuck up Darm counters. And then we've got B.HT/Gator, back again once again. Pretty standard Dragon Dance set with enough speed to outspeed things at +1. We are running Shadow Claw over Crunch, because there is a chance of Ry bringing a Culverberry on Slowking and I want to mess that up for him. Basically, this thing kinda just wins and is my backup win condition in case Darm goes down. And lastly, we've got Von Trier the Scissor. Again, very basic stuff here. A bit of speed creeping for Sylveon with an Oak Berry to take an HP fire. U-turn for momentum and Slowking. Superpower for Stoutland and Furor. And then there's Defog. That's the main reason I have this thing on my team. Ry has Fortress, which is pretty good at stacking hazards and I don't want Darm getting worn down too much. And here's the obligatory rundown of what I'm expecting to be facing. Definitely 100% Slowking. Most likely physically defensive or Trick Room. Possibly both. He's probably bringing Hippowdon as a physical wall and as sand support. We'll also probably see Garc-homp, as it's a pretty decent switch in for Darm. At least, until it gets burned. He will most likely bring Fortress as well. I'm fairly certain we can expect some Bankcast counter or Custap explosion set, because he wants to surprise me and take out Darm. The last 2 team slots are quite open. I think Sylveon is pretty likely, if he brings Trick Room. And Ampharos is actually decent against my team as well, though Stoutland and Furor can both be just as useful. He could of course also bring Oakberry Shaman. Or Yuchi Berry. We'll definitely be seeing some memes, but honestly, I'm not that threatened by his team. This battle will go up a little earlier than usual. 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time tomorrow. Might be something special.